We are recording. At any point, if you have trouble hearing me or seeing the visuals, please let me know in the chat. Well, and I see my colleague Olivia joining right now, so I want to give her a second. She's going to be my support today, so I'll introduce myself in a little bit. But if you haven't been with us before, just kind of our protocol here will be to remain muted. Well, unless you're called upon, we'll definitely have time to share. So I hope you're looking forward to doing that. Definitely, keep the chat box lively, especially we're going to have like a 12-minute video later, and I want us to be able to have conversations through it. So make sure your setting is set up so it's easy for you to play along in the chat box. And then also, reactions and things are really good as well. I learned recently that you can use different emojis than the preset ones in the reactions. So if you figure that out, then I know you're a real pro, and it is quite fun. Towards the end of the presentation, yes, we will have a March session evaluation. We'll have a link. We'll drop it in the chat. And additionally, I appreciate the space and grace as we're here tonight. I know some of us had some issues logging on, but now we're here. A good 23 of us. I'm happy for that. I imagine some people may still be joining. So let's be patient as we continue to deal with technology and the ubiquitous nature of it in our lives. And of course, I sure hope we have fun, and I think we will definitely learn from each other. So again, your participation will only increase the value of this training because I know the people who are here have incredible value to our community. So if you're not aware, this training series is put on thanks to the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, which is a $12 million non-lapsing fund dedicated to supporting Baltimore's children, youth, and young adults. So some of the most important people here in our city. So this effort is put on, by all different kinds of representatives and stakeholders. The work is intended to be led by youth voices and, now excuse me, including them at all levels. We're aiming to advance equity on every level as possible, being accountable, to our youth, to our communities. This is not politically driven. This is I know everybody here is here because they care about young people, and that's the work that we do. So that's what the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund is here for as well. And our work inspires new partnerships, the buzzword of the evening. So I hope that there will be some organic connections amongst you all this evening as well. We have some breakout rooms for you guys to connect as well. Our guiding values and principles, racial equity at every single level of the process. You can definitely read more about that. Intergenerational leadership. So again, leadership from the youngest of us to those of us who have been around in Baltimore for a very long time. So including as many voices as possible. Hi, Angela, just saw your message. Oh my gosh, it's Restaurant Week in Baltimore. All right, we'll talk about that later, guys. This is news to me. All right, community ownership. So again, we are all the stakeholders, all of us who are here in Baltimore City, our youth, are the families that we serve. They all have a part in this and an ownership part in this. And then collective decision making. We'll talk a little bit more about collective later, as well as for what the word collective means to partnership. But again, collective decision making, making sure that we're really aligned, all the stakeholders, all the youth that are involved in this process. And then our friends who are putting this on, the strategic resource group, some of them are here if they want to speak, but I'll give them the shout out. Regardless, by you without them on the screen, they are our amazing, amazing partners assisting in putting on this incredible series. You'll be able to see the whole list of trainings on the next question, but they are a huge, huge, huge resource for you all, for nonprofits in the community. And we'll talk a little bit more about technical assistance and things like that, which they do provide. And then I am here representing Mentor Maryland, DC. We aim to be community-based experts on mentoring in the field across Maryland and now DC, which is very exciting for us. And we're aligned with the National Mentoring Partnership and ensuring that our programs are doing the best quality work they can do across Maryland and DC. And then again, so we're about halfway through this series, which is pretty exciting. So today we're talking about Partnership 101. As you know, there's also a small group session on Friday morning at 10 a.m. This smaller group. Doesn't necessarily mean that all of you can't come. Everybody can come, but it's that we'll have more spaces in smaller groups, smaller ratio of people, so that we can discuss this topic further and do a little bit more personal Q&A to what the situation is at your program, where you're serving. So I hope you will join us for that. And then we will have our culminating event, which I believe is going to be in November. We're working on planning it now. It's really, really exciting. So I hope that you'll keep in touch with the rest of these sessions and that we'll see you at our culminating event in November as well. And then our agenda. So we're going to get started. We'll have an icebreaker, of course. We're going to be talking about community and what that means. We'll have a breakout to kind of get started talking about what partnership looks like at our organizations and hear from each other about what we really feel like that really means to us and the work that we do. And then we will again watch that video that I mentioned about partnership and collaborations and have a little debrief. We'll break out again. We have a resource for you to take home with you today, which is really exciting, that will be of service to you in that breakout. We'll talk about our partnership dreams and wrap up, and then we'll talk about the next steps. So if you guys are all ready, we're gonna jump right into it. And Olivia, I am gonna ask you to drop that link in the chat if you're able. So thank you, Olivia. So if you go to menti.com and use the code, enter the code 7724-1280, or scan that QR, or you can click the link in the chat. This is going to bring up a poll. And I'm actually going to stop sharing so I can open it. But the first question on that poll is, what is the best compliment somebody has ever given you about your work? So the directions are going to top of the screen, menti.com with that code, or this link in the chat, and just toss in your answers. So describe the best compliment someone has given you about your work. Somebody was called inspiring, spot on. That's such a good compliment. I love that. Make great connections with families. Awesome. You're passionate. Your program saved my life. Your passion and commitment to your work shows. You made someone's job easier. That's so nice to hear. Very detailed. Right. Anything that you can say, repeat again in an interview on a later date is great. Very detailed. You're like a second mother to someone. Beautiful. Love that. Hype yourselves up. Let's see some more, people. I know everyone in this room, I'm hoping y'all need to be hyped up all the time. Keep digging the foundation, being proud of someone, innovative and creative. And again, people noticing your passion. Awesome. So good. Intentional and focused on the relationship. It's just easy to talk to. That's really special as well. Any more, guys? Come on. All right, let's go to our next question. So we've just talked about best compliment someone's given you, or maybe you want to keep that for yourself too, which I respect if you want to hold on that compliment just for you. But when you receive those compliments, how did that compliment make you feel? I mean, I felt great just reading about the compliments that you got. Validated, yes. So you can do more, right? Motivating, valued. Ooh, I saw this TikTok where someone was talking about the difference between being valuable and being valued. And I know that everybody here is valuable to your organizations, things like that, but being valued, that's meaning that you're seen, that you're appreciated, and that people are going to return that value back to you. Appreciated, motivated, like you're on the right track. Appreciate it. Love it. Warm and fuzzy. Made me feel like I was making a difference. Like I have a purposeful passion. Healing others has been healing for me. That's awesome. Validating. Like you can make an impact in the day-to-day. That's awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, guys. So we're starting there because we want to set the tone as we're getting into the rest of our presentation today, and as we're getting into, um, excuse me, our small group work on Friday as well. So I'm gonna make sure my screen is shared. Yeah, cool. So we want to set the tone. We want to be asset framing, well, especially when we're talking about partnerships. And that's talks about, addressing the assets that we have and that we have to offer as well. Because a partnership, of course, is not just about receiving, it's going both ways. And you guys are undoubtedly an asset to your own organization, but you and your organization can be an asset to someone else, and that can be mutual and reciprocal. Everyone does something really well. Everyone. And I hope that we're all, getting the compliments that help us realize that, and that we're giving those compliments too. Giving compliments is really a lost art, and it really goes a long way. This information, oh, hold on. Let me try again. Wait, does that look better, Olivia? Let me know in the chat. Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, giving compliments is a lost art. And often those words can stay with us and motivate us for a very long time. So while I'm hoping, and everybody here deserves to get compliments from their colleagues and their supervisors, but we remind that we can give people those compliments as well, and they can really feed the soul for a long time. And then again, this is part of partnership building, identifying assets. So those are internal assets and external assets, and we will talk more about those as we keep going through. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know that's very personal, and I appreciate that. And I actually didn't share either. I heard something that you guys said. I do love to hear that I made somebody else's job easier, which is kind of funny because don't we all want our jobs to be easier? But it's nice to hear that you helped someone else. So, and for me, I've been in mentor recruitment and volunteer recruitment for a long time. Let me properly introduce myself before we get into it. So I'm Angela Mock. I'm the Program Outreach and Support Manager here at Mentor Maryland, DC. I've been working in Baltimore since 2013 in the youth development field, exclusively in Baltimore, but my entire career has been in youth development as well, specifically in mentoring in Baltimore. So I was at the Choice program, and a few different roles there, which is the direct service program across Maryland, serving teens involved in the justice system. I then went on to work at US Dream Academy, which is an after school and mentoring program at their Baltimore location, where I was a mentor coordinator, so a volunteer coordinator, bringing mentors in and training them. And now I'm here at Mentor Maryland, hopefully trying to make all of your guys' work easier. That is my job. So I hope that this presentation today will help you do that as well, but that will also be able to be connected in the future as you are building partnerships and we're making those connections. Thank you. Oh, there's my phone. Perfect. So I have a poem for us here about community, and I would love, are there any poets or performers in the audience that would love to read this in their beautiful voice? Feel free to come off mute. Or Olivia, can you read it? Are you still here?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia James. I'm the Marketing Communications Vista at Mentor Maryland, DC. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And I do love to perform. So, all right, let me get into it. There is a bond between you and me, embodied in our connection, in an energy, a journey, a spirit, a quiet stir of hope, a breath, a scent, a feel, a sound, a pulse, a rhythm, a quest to explore, to discover who and what we are. Okay.
Thank you, Olivia. That was beautiful.
Thanks. That was a nice poem. Who is this by?
The Bettina Wilkerson. Definitely look it up. So yeah, thank you. Such as the poem there to ground us about what community means. And I posed that to you to ask you the question, what does community mean to you? Come off mute, write in the chat. What does community, you need to define community first before we talk about partnerships. So what does community mean to you?
I can jump in. I think
Nice.
my name is Sana, by the way, and I'm the
Hey.
Community Engagement Manager at Generation Hope. When I think community, I often just think people coming together for a common purpose, and really, really lifting each other up in pursuit of that purpose, and whatever it takes along the way. If someone falls behind, we lift them up. If someone has more, they can give back. But just like this environment where people are consistently lifting each other up.
Wonderful. Thank you. Michael says in the chat, means a group of people often with similar purpose or goals, togetherness. Kathy. Community means collaboration and elevation, a group of people with the same purpose. Yes.
Hi, my
Thank you,
name is
Mel.
Demar Ross. I work at St. Ambrose. I'm the youth ambassador. And when I think of community, I think of, like someone said, togetherness, a support system of where everyone, also another friend of mine said, we have a common goal. So that's when I think of support system. I mean, when I think of that, I think of family, everyone just looking out, help from all different directions.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm loving this conversation that you guys are having. We're having really good ideas. I mean, sharing others and inspiring them, connection, collaboration, collective efficacy, and responsibility. People sharing association of some kind. Yeah. Wow. When I define it later on, I hope it's as good as everything you all are sharing. Feeling a fellowship, sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You guys are clearly familiar with community, and thank goodness, because I don't really want to have to define it from people who have no idea what it means. So I'm glad that you guys really, really are understanding it. So then my next question for you guys is, what does your program mean to community? For your work, what does your work or your program mean to the community? Maybe this is something that you've literally heard the community say. Or what could or should it mean? What do you aim for it to mean for the communities that you work in?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What does my work mean to the community?
Yeah. What does your program or your work mean to the community?
My work to the community kind of gives a sense of understanding. Since I myself was homeless and I was an at-risk youth, I've grown up at risk with my mom, and homelessness is not a thing that's new to me. I remember I had to strive to just know that I didn't want to be there anymore, and I wanted something better for myself, and I didn't want to struggle again. So I worked to get myself out. So when I'm around other youths who are going through the same thing that I was, when I can tell my story and reassure them that this program is here to help you and we're here to stay, and I'm a living proof, I feel like that gives them the comfort to know, like, okay, I can do this. And all right, if he can do it, I can do it, because he's not too much older than me. Or, he came from the same hood or the neighborhood that I came from. He had the same struggles that I have. So it's a reassuring purpose that we are here to serve you, and we are here to make sure that everyone is, housed and have a good life or a stable, independent living.
You're on mute, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing so much, Jamal. I mean, I'll say I, take my work very personally. For me, work is very personal, and my values and things are brought out in my work. So I feel like we're having a personal conversation here, and I appreciate you guys sharing that about what your work, not only means to you but to your communities as well. So Michael says it helps open the eyes of students so they can be everything or anything. Pia says opportunity to collaborate, advocate, education, community growth. Felicia, bringing young women together to realize their optimal potential through bonding, learning, and growth. Kathy's work serves as a missing link. Emmanuel says building bridges and restoring hope. That's amazing, incredible. Clearly all those compliments were absolutely deserved. And I'm so happy that you guys are all here and that you are doing this work. So hopefully this conversation about partnerships will be able to leverage the obvious strengths we have here in Baltimore, in the community, in the youth development community, and leverage those so that we can all, meet our potential and raise expectations and do even better work than we're already doing. Sana says providing mentors, emotional support, resources, scholarships for our scholars. Awesome. Great. That's really exciting. I can't wait to hear more about all of your guys' programs since I'm not familiar with literally every single one. I tried, but you know. Right. So a very simple definition of community, which I feel is right on track with everything that you all shared. And I'm, again, happy to know that. So community is a group of people that care about each other and feel that they belong together. It can be as simple as that. And it's simple, but it doesn't mean it's not important. It's incredibly important. And we really believe that building community is building partnerships. And when we're truly engaged in the community in a meaningful way, we're building partnerships and relationships. Partnerships is just another term for a type of relationship. So community is about those relationships. Mentoring is about those relationships. It's all tying in together. And so as we are connected with our communities, we'll be connected to build partnerships effectively, which is exciting. So this next slide, this thought may be familiar to some of us who have worked in schools. You know, the last program I was at was inside a school building. So I'm sure some people here maybe have some kind of attachment to working in schools or having a child that goes to school, etc. So think about this image. Does this seem familiar? Is this speaking to us about maybe how relationships in often around school communities are broken and it can get blame gamey? Any thoughts or reflections there? I mean, looking at the past year and how the education system has gone and how people were communicating and miscommunicating and blaming a lot, this image really speaks to that specific circumstance in my eyes. And the real purpose is we're talking about community building partnerships. How do we engage and turn maybe folks that are being more negative into action takers? How do we take negativity and through our relationships and communities, spawn people into taking action positively so that, again, we're all at least working with our goals aligned and working together. It's tough. It's tough. I will say after this crazy year of schooling, my husband decided that he wanted to be a teacher. And I was like, you must be crazy. I was like, don't you see how people, you know, point teachers, blame teachers, this, that, and the other, but you know, he's ready to be part of the community. Kathy said, I don't think each player realizes the part they play. True. That's a great point. And again, finding the assets in that. It's not necessarily that any of these individuals or, you know, stakeholders that are in this image are wrong or that they shouldn't exist or do a terrible job, that, this, that, and the other, but they understanding their own part to play and playing it in alignment with everyone else, that's community and that's partnership. So something that's a great comment, Kathy. Thank you. And finding solutions. Yeah, Regina.
It also makes me think, unfortunately, that this isn't just existent in the educational system or educational realm. As a social worker, I just think about how providers, different types of providers come together for treatment, you know, care and treatment of individuals or groups. And so I think it goes back to your comment, what you just said about understanding not just the roles that everybody plays, but the value add or the contribution to the whole goal, whatever that goal looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I say too, when you said value add, it reminded me of taking us back to compliments. Because I remember being a kid and the first adult who validated my role in the place that we were at my church, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do stuff. Like I literally thought that I could never do anything because I was so disempowered as a kid. And then when someone was like, actually, you're great and you can, like, dang, like that again is so motivating. So for these parties that may not be getting along, where is the value add? Even if the people that are more difficult to work with or organizations that are harder to work with, where is the value add? How can we share that appreciation, which is a really important part of partnership building, but build our partnership and community, knowing that we each have our role to play and that we can play it well, right? Emmanuel says they may not know that they're all stakeholders, right? And getting stakeholders communicating. Awesome. Y'all are smart. Okay. So we are going to break out. I'm going to put these questions in the chat for you all. So this is a group that you're going to break out into again later. So you'll be able to come back after we've learned a bit and catch up with them. But we're going to talk about in our groups, what does partnership mean to you? Define it. We're going to say write down, but type wherever you're keeping your notes, write down the name of your best partner, like give it a thought. Who is that? And how do we, what do we think about them? What makes a great partnership? So what are the characteristics that make a great partnership? All right, thanks, Kathy. Thank you for coming. Maybe we'll see you at small group. And then what is your current partnership strategy? So I really want this conversation to end there. Now that we're reflecting on our partnerships, hearing from other organizations in your breakout, like, what is your strategy? Is there a strategy? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. No judgment. We're here to work through it together. So how does this partnership strategy align with your overall organizational strategy? We're going to break out into rooms now so we can discuss that. So let me again get these questions for you in the chat so you can have them to refer to in the chat. Hold on. There we go. Super. And then we're going to break out in just a minute. Mm-hmm. 24 people. And we are going to break out. It is 6, so for about 12 minutes. All right. All right. So people are about to start moving. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. We're recording. Thank you. Okay, yes. So now that we're back from our breakout rooms, I want to hear how that experience was, what you maybe took away from what somebody else said, or your thoughts on these questions. Like how the questions that you answered, what answers did you come to, and what are partners good for? Yeah, feel free to come off mute. Feel free to write in the chat.
Hello, guys. I guess I'll start since I've already spoken. I loved our breakout. I can't remember her name, but she seems so awesome, and she has the STEP team in Baltimore, you guys. So if you have anyone in Baltimore, and I'm supposed to be promoting for myself, but if you have anyone in Baltimore, please check out her STEP team. But
Awesome.
what are good partners for? I feel like just that. A good partner is for someone you can lean on to help you out in time of need, or not even in time of need, just period. To basically meet you where you're at, or go, how do I put this? A good partner would do what you would have done. I feel like that's what a good partner. So a partner is someone, they would do something or do what they have to without having to ask or make sure it's good with you. They would go out their way to help out. What makes a great partnership? I feel like what makes a great partnership is an understanding of how you both work and how your work ethic is, and how you guys decide that you want to approach the community, and how you guys decide you guys want to go about that. How do you know when a partnership is going well? I feel like you know when a partnership is going well when you succeed in everything that you have planned and you worked hard to do. And you're watching everything that you have hoped and dreamed and you worked so hard, so you see it come into fruition and you see it manifest. I think that's when you know that it's going well, when you were at ground zero and now you're at ground 4, or you at ground 2, or you at ground 1. You made it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
awesome.
leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I think you hit all of these questions great. And Coach G is sharing their information in the chat, y'all, so we can catch up with the STEP team. Dope. But yeah, exactly. Partners are good for so many things. Maybe when we are in a time of need, maybe when there's a small need, however the range of that may go, we can find value in our partners and great use for them. Does somebody want to share?
Hello, my name is
Hi.
Tia Brisbane. I'm the community school coordinator at Arundel Elementary School.
Yeah.
And thank you. So one thing that I wrote the answers down, but didn't write the question down. So for the first question, I put, it is good for making stronger connections in the community. It is a good, I know it's a good partnership if it's an equally beneficial relationship. And how do I know the partnership went well? When the program services and or resource that was given is well received by the community and uplifts a relevant need. And how do we check in? Or we check in at the start so there's a clear understanding, midway through to address any areas of improvement, and at the end to reflect upon what went well and what can be improved on next time.
Great. Those are really key points. And I hope a lot of us who are listening and take that into effect. I think you really described that well, and that partnership should be mutually beneficial and hopefully a bit as equal as they may possibly be able to be. Because sometimes we have smaller fish connecting with bigger fish and things like that, but it should still be valuable on both ends. And maintaining partnerships, you really addressed that well, Tia. So, Coach G, did you want to share before we move on?
I
You're talking on mute. Okay.
So sorry. Got a little 3-month-old. Okay.
Oh.
So hi everyone. I'm Coach G. I want to turn my camera on. Give me 1 second. Had to put the kid down. Can y'all see me? Because I can't see. Oh, I'm like, I can't see what y'all can see, but I think my screen on. All right. Hey everyone, I'm Coach G. I'm the founder and CEO of Coach G Academy. I actually was wondering why. I'm like, why is everyone saying my name in the chat? And like, I don't hear anything. So I had my laptop, I made a mistake and pressed my laptop on mute. So everyone's talking. I'm like, why can't I hear anything? This is weird. This is a long break. So neither here nor there. Coach G, founder and CEO of Coach G Academy. It's a mentoring program that uses STEP to engage young people into education. I recently was the STEP coach at the Baltimore Leadership School for Young Women and featured in the documentary STEP in Baltimore. I was the STEP coach from that documentary. And we were able to, from that documentary, travel the world, do performances for Michelle Obama, so many different opportunities that we gained. The documentary is available, I believe, on Amazon and Apple Movies. But at Bliss, I was impacting probably about 10 to 20 girls. And I realized that I wanted to make a greater impact and impact way more girls across the city. So I'm started a citywide STEP team, and I'm also hoping to partner in different middle schools and high schools across the city just to bring my social emotional learning aspect to schools across the city and change young girls' lives. But I'm not limited to young girls. It's open to everyone, but our target is young Black girls from Baltimore City.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach G, for sharing. I know everyone is real hype. Oh, you're getting recognized by Angela, your celebrity. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna find out where it's streaming, and I'm gonna catch up. That's awesome.
It's a good one. Bring your tissue.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm in it, but it's really a good one.
I mean, I'm ready. Oh, it's on Amazon. Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And actually, Coach G's story kind of is speaking to the experience of the program that we're going to watch about in our video. So this is a longer video. It's about 12 minutes. Again, I want to absolutely make sure that everybody can see and hear it when it starts. So just let me know in the chat. While the video is happening, I do want us to be able to have a conversation in the chat as well, since it's a longer video. So keep your chat open. I'm going to mute myself and start the video now.
You'll be coming up with ideas that you think are going to work. You know, in your mind, you're like, this is the best idea ever. Like, this is going to solve all of these problems. You know, this is it. You know, we figured it out. You know, let's hit the ground running. And what we find every single time that when we do that without necessarily looking into these different groups or people who've maybe tried to do the same thing is that we're only solving the problem from our point of view. So we're not necessarily solving the problem for them.
A Boise bicycle shop is about to make Christmas dreams come true for over 300 local boys and girls. Kids had the chance to draw on paper what their dream bicycle would look like. And volunteers, along with the employees at the Boise bicycle shop, have been working nonstop to make those wishes come true. After hours of repairs and refurbishing, hundreds of kids will be presented their dream bike just in time for Christmas.
I guess when we started the Boise Bicycle Project, we really didn't know how to run a nonprofit. You know, I had worked in bicycle shops before in the past, but there was a lot that we didn't know that was going on. So from the very beginning, like, we really had to reach out to a lot of different groups and seek their advice, figure out how we could work together, and really make sure that what we were doing was going to be helpful to the groups that we were trying to serve. We have a variety of different partnerships we've formed with all sorts of different organizations, whether they've been nonprofit like us, for-profit, government. It's become pretty fun and pretty interesting to figure out how you can kind of collaborate with these different groups.
Last year during Idaho Gives, we pedaled over 100 miles donating 24 bikes to 24 kids in 24 hours. Your donations powered the journey and transformed the lives of 24 kids. This year we're inviting you to be part of our vision. And what's that vision, Jan?
That Boise has the potential to be the bicycle capital of America.
And for those who don't speak French, that's Boise has the potential to be the bicycle capital of America. That's our vision. For 24 hours, every hour, on the hour, we'll create a community transforming event that takes Boise one step closer to the top. Events include, but are not limited to, installing new bike lanes, putting community repair stands in parks, leading thousands in a pedal-powered parade. This is serious, folks. We can change the future of Boise in 24 hours.
So we've got these great partnerships with these for-profit organizations, but then a lot of times we've got these great partnerships with other nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club. So we typically are donating around 500 to 600 bicycles a year. And we could be reaching out to kind of individual families and searching and trying to find the kids who really need bicycles. But it's much, much easier for us to find an organization who has already kind of located and identified the kids who need the most help. And they can kind of be that relay point to say, hey, Boise Bicycle Project, we've got a group of kids that needs bicycles. And rather than us reaching out to 10 different families, you know, we've got 10 kids all at one organization, and that organization can help transport them down here, or we can go there and teach a safety class or teach bicycle repair. It's kind of weird because we're, you know, doing things like teaching people how to repair bicycles and getting your hands greasy. And, you know, a lot of times the bicycles that we're working on is a little bit older, so it's kind of this older technology and kind of an older way of doing things, but we're really trying to explore new and innovative ways to do that, and new and innovative ways to reach out to people and educate them, or to teach them about repair, or to teach them about the benefits of bicycling.
Once these kids have their dream bikes, they'll be embarking on their own journey with the goal of riding 100 miles by the end of May's Kids Bike-a-thon.
We'll provide their rides, but we need you to power their journey.
By pedaling 100 miles in a month, these kids will be raising awareness and raising funds for their brothers, sisters, friends, classmates for BVP's new Earn a Bike program.
So a lot of times when we're working on a new program or a new idea, we're focusing a lot on the target population we're wanting to serve or wanting to affect. And then we're trying to figure out who is the right group that can help us work with this population the most. So if it's, you know, if it's teenagers, you know, who are about to enter the workforce, you know, maybe a organization like Life's Kitchen that's training kids with culinary skills is the best one to partner with, because they're already teaching them skills. Now we're providing transportation.
Once you finish this program and you get a job somewhere, how are you going to get to your job?
I'd like to be able to bike.
When you're ready, you need to come down to the bike project and we'll find a bike for you and get you all set up.
Great.
Cool.
Or maybe if we want to even work with a program that's going to help provide bicycles for inmates, how do we figure out who the best group, to do that is? And recently we've been working on this program to provide bicycles for inmates that are getting out of prison in exchange for them fixing kids' bikes that we'll donate to the community. And in order to do that, we had been reaching out to other organizations who had already worked with folks from the prison that had nothing to do with bicycles. There's a big difference when people are really, really excited about what they're doing. And if you look around, you can tell that there's excitement. You can see that people are excited to be working hands-on. They're excited to be, building bikes, learning new skills, giving back to kids in the community.
The collaboration teaches female inmates at the South Boise Women's Correctional Center important skills.
All right, now try spinning it.
Using their space and workforce to fix up kids' bikes in need of repairs. In return for the hard labor, after an inmate fixes up 15 bikes, they'll receive a voucher, good for a bike of their own at BBP once they're released.
The obvious choices aren't always, the best ones, but I think when you can think about, who your target demographic is, who's worked with this target demographic successfully in the past, and getting advice from them to see who they think you should bring to the table, because they probably have dealt through the same thing that you have. They've had to jump through the same hoops and all these different types of things, and they can probably save you a lot along the way. Collaborations are great when they work. When they don't work, it's hard because you form these partnerships and they're probably people that you may be working with again in the future, and so you want to make sure that you're not hurting these relationships. Recently, I've had the opportunity to meet with the governor to talk about some kids safety stuff. And I left this safety meeting, with the governor, and it was this tremendous opportunity to try to make some statewide changes, and met with a few other organizations, and then we kind of started working on, all right, let's see what we can do to kind of, present the governor a program and kind of a template that we think that he could actually do to create some change. And at a certain point, you have to kind of realize when things aren't moving as fast as you want to, or other groups aren't, that maybe this isn't the priority for them. And if you can give people an easy option out, they don't want to let you down, but maybe that's what you need to bring somebody else in, or just to take on the role larger. And so I think a lot of it is just kind of a timing thing, is like once you start to realize that things aren't going the way that you want it to, how do you either lend a hand, take a little weight out of their pack and put it on yours, or just, take their pack off completely and let them, run up the hill and do whatever it is they're doing, and figure out a different way to carry the load up there. Because the worst thing that you can do is just kind of to continue to let this broken wheel get worse and worse and worse. I fought fire with the Idaho City Hotshots for about 3 years, and a couple other years in fire as well. And I always tell a lot of people that some of the biggest leadership lessons that I've ever learned, and some of the most group dynamics I've ever learned, was either through fighting fires or through wrestling in high school. And a lot of it through fighting fires has kind of transferred directly over to how we kind of lead around here. And two of the ways that I think about the most, one is through leadership, is I always feel like anybody that you're working with is only going to work as hard as their leader, and so if they see a leader being lazy or not carrying their own weight, nobody's going to outwork, their boss for the most part, unless maybe they're trying to jump above, but everybody's going to work as hard as the person who's in charge, and so if the person who's in charge is passionate, if they're working hard, if they believe in what they're doing, I really believe that other people will kind of follow along the same way, and if they don't, you'll have that opposite effect. The other thing that I really learned through fire that I didn't necessarily appreciate at the time was really evaluating what just happened and trying to learn from it. So, after action reviews. And we don't necessarily use that term when we go over things here, but anything from our Christmas Kids Bike giveaway, where we're donating 350 bikes to kids in one day, to a fun event we might be holding like Tour de Fat, where we have hundreds of volunteers coming down. Immediately after those events are over, we're meeting the leaders of the different groups, and we're saying, okay, this is how it went, what went well, what didn't go well, what person shined, and why did this person shine? What do we need to work on when we do this again, next year? How can we learn from our mistakes, and these different types of things? And I think evaluating things quickly is the best way to learn, because a lot of times you don't see everything that's going on, and you see something fail, but you don't necessarily know why, and somebody else from a different perspective, may have seen something that you didn't. And so taking the opportunity to get these different perspectives together again, these different views that people saw throughout the day that maybe you saw and you didn't even pay attention to, and somebody else did. These after action reviews are so important to always learn from your successes and learn from your mistakes, and do this in a better and a more efficient way. Organizations usually grow best when they're really looking at things that aren't similar to them and figuring out how they can carry that into their own organization. And so I think that there's a lot of different partnerships and a lot of different collaborations that are out there that are not obvious whatsoever, and that a lot of different groups can learn things from each other that are in nowhere obviously related, but like have some carryover that's really helpful. And so when you kind of work with other organizations, you figure out what the needs are, and I think that you end up becoming or you end up putting together a more well-rounded program that works from a variety of different angles and different perspectives just than the one that you thought worked in your head. And so you try to do things on your own, and you just can't really always do them in a really efficient way. And so when you kind of work together, to solve the greater need of what's out there, it can be so much more or less work, and it can be so much more effective to really work together.
Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think. Yeah, I was saying, Coach, this reminds me of you because the organization started as one thing and realized, its unique impact in one place. And then, but once you realize, oh, we can do this thing and we can partner with these people, and you can see your expanded impact as you build community. Like I said before, and we're building partnerships and expanding our impact. Yeah, any other thoughts?
I love that it started off as one thing, providing bicycles for underprivileged, or that's not the word we're using now, but underserved youth. And then it turned into, helping the reentry program, which, is amazing.
Yeah.
And I know, and I know I caught something in sort of the middle of his thing when he was talking about he approached the governor's office. But then, not every time you approach somebody to be in your, be a partner, do they have the same, like he said, goals or time or even want to even partner or have a partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great points. And that's what I love about this particular story, because it started out as one thing, and then realizing once, they became, enmeshed with the community and got to know other partners, then they were able to do new things. They had those outside perspectives that like, oh, well, if we connect with the women's prison, what can we do there, right? Like their expertise is bikes and the value add of bikes. But they were able to again with those outside views, able to expand their impact and try new things that maybe I'm assuming, so since you saw, kind of their roots and their beginning, that that might not have been in the plan or in the thoughts. But right, when we leverage partners and the power of partners, and collaboration and community, our impact can be new and changing and evolving as well to the needs of the community. Great. Good. I'm glad you guys liked that. I was so happy to find that video. Great. So now if you can drop the link in the chat now, Olivia. So I've dropped a link in the chat, or Olivia has dropped my link in the chat. This is going to connect you to a PDF that I'm going to ask you to actually download. It's a fillable PDF. So save your own copy to your computer, because we are going to break out and you'll have time to write your answers in there. Just want to give everybody a minute to get that sorted, because technology. So let me know if you have any issues downloading that. Or give me a 1 in the chat if you successfully downloaded it. That might be helpful.
I
Nope.
did successfully download it, but I'm working off my phone, so I probably won't be able to fill it in as we go.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, so you'll have it as a resource and whenever you're back to your computer for sure. All right, cool. People are downloading it. Just want to make sure that we all got it. 'Cause I wanted to make sure that we had something to physically work on and type into, since obviously we're not in person. So great. So we're now looking at this document before we get into groups again. So we're going to start. We're going to review things first, and then I'll let you know what we're going to be doing in our groups before we start filling things out. So the continuum of partnerships. And we probably saw a lot of these different types of partnerships in the video. All right, good. Everyone's downloading. Good. So we'll kind of go through this quickly and you'll have time on your own to read it as well. So networking, the exchange of information for mutual benefit. So even right now, you guys are networking. When you're in your breakouts, you guys are networking. It's a form of partnership. It's the very early stages of maybe a longer partnership, but we're starting to partner. Coordination, more formal arrangements focusing on specific programs or projects, accompanied with that shared mission and exchanging information to get something done. The collaboration, we're talking about more long-term, a more formal arrangement potentially, and that where people are coming around to share ideas and address issues together. A merger, so that's a formal arrangement, which 2 organizations become one. That's a very specific type of partnership. Mentor Maryland DC, we just merged with Mentorprise DC, and that's how we're able to add the DC to our name now. So it's a type of partnership. And for us, I mean, for Mentorprise, they're now part of our board. Their donors and supporters are now part of our supporters. So a merger doesn't necessarily have to think about that from the deficit way, which would be the dissolution. But the merger is, again, the strong strength building kind of thing. Again, reducing the duplication of work, which we talked about before, and not necessarily reinventing the wheel. And then collective impact. I mentioned the word collective earlier. So collective impact is when organizations from different sectors agree to solve a specific social problem using a common agenda, aligning their efforts and using common measures to define success. So yeah, I want us to think about when we think about the word collective, that we're talking about being truly, truly aligned from our mission to how we do it, to how we evaluate what we're doing. All right, so here's some examples of types of partnerships. That's on page 3. We talked about that a little bit. There's some more examples for you in case you're confused. And then this is on page 5, kind of the steps of partnership development. So there's only 3 steps listed here, as you see on page 5. It's elaborated a bit, but you might be in step 1 for a while. These are huge, huge steps. So again, when we talk about getting started, we're talking about doing an internal assessment, that internal asset building. You know, what do we have? What are we doing? What do we want to do? Identifying potential partners, which we'll talk a little bit more about later as well, and getting them mobilized. And then again, doing that visioning, determining of outcomes and agreements between you and your partner. You know, getting organized, deciding what is the path to success, like what are we trying to do and how will we do it, and giving special attention to the how, and then again, indicators of success. So how are we going to evaluate that you and the partner were successful? Then step 3, achieve and transform, focusing on celebration, those compliments and that asset building we keep talking about. Getting larger buy-in from the community at large, potentially more partners and more community members. And again, doing that evaluation that the video talked about, how he would do after each fire, doing that evaluation of what just happened, what were the successes, even though there's the successes, there's always challenges. What were those challenges? What are the lessons learned that we can move forward in this partnership in a meaningful way? My gosh, right on schedule with my timing. Okay, cool. So now if you want to turn to at the bottom of page 1, it says current partnership inventory. So this goes from page 1 to a little bit onto page 2. Okay, thanks for doing. I just saw your message. You're going to break out into the room that you were with before, and you're going to work on this partnership inventory together. You'll have, I'll give you guys 15 minutes. Take as much time if you want to work individually for a little bit and then discuss, but know that there's people in your room that obviously you've already bet that you have good experience with? Yes, Olivia, can you put the link in the chat one more time? Because Khadijah fell out, she came back in. Thank you. Sherry, you're gonna break out with your same group members from before, and we're going to do, or you're going to do, the current partnership inventory, and then we'll come back together as a group again. I'm going to break you out now.